I'd like to be rolling a blunt right now, but I'm not. We're gonna have this good conversation first. Okay. My mom gets me a Christmas mug every year. I'm just filling in space, y'all, until I get the people in the chats. Okay, but I love this mug my mom got me. I'm mostly peace, love, and light, and a little go fuck yourself. And that is a perfect description of me. So cheers to my mom for getting me this mug, because she knows me so well. Thank you, Amani. I appreciate you. Hello, beautiful peoples in the chat. We got some beautiful peoples in the chat. Okay, y'all, so I'm gonna start sliding back over to my Facebook peeps. And y'all know, before I do anything, I gotta spray myself with Ball and Buddha. Now this one is strong because, damn, you got thick. I know. This was strong because this is my concentrate. I don't sell my concentrate. The concentrate is when I take the soaked cinnamon sticks and all the other herbs and things that I use in the Ball and Buddha that sit at the bottom of the pot, and I pour pretty much 100 proof alcohol over top of it, and then I let it soak for weeks. And honey, this is strong. I don't think I want to ever sell the concentrate because I don't know what people would do with themselves. Okay, y'all, thank you. I love to get energy. Now that's why I want to come back more so to Facebook. There's definitely a lot of different demographics. I'm about to get into this conversation, but there's definitely a different demographic between my Facebook people that come in the lives and the Instagram people that come in the lives, and I really do appreciate the Facebook folks that come in the lives. So what were you talking about today? Okay, I'm sitting over here by my supplements I didn't take this morning. Gotta get that purple sea moss thing, y'all. Okay, they don't pay me to do this shit. I just really love them. But I love my purple sea moss in pill form. I love everything in pill form for the most part. I got bottles galore over here. Okay, boom. Brianna, message me again. I feel like I saw that email, and sometimes it can be. So sometimes we need to cleanse, but I'll send you some replacement bottles. It's not a big deal. But just send me another email because it kicks it back up to the top, because I've been in supreme customer service mode, and sometimes messages do get lost. So if you don't mind, just re-forward me that message so that I can get that handled and taken care of today. Okay, so let's talk about this. And you know my messages usually be short and sweet and to the point. So let's just go back to my caption, and it's pretty much just saying, like, don't let your ego trick you out of some true knowledge. Don't let your ego trick you out of some true knowledge, okay? And maybe it's time. People, we talk about cleaning. We talk about cleaning the house, right? We talk about needing to do maintenance on ourselves. A lot of the times we talk about superficial things, like we may want to do a face mask. We may wash our hair, but very often we don't talk enough about how we need to clean up our belief systems. We need to clear out the hard drive. And the thing that oftentimes for most people gets in the way of us doing that is our ego. Okay, it can be our ego, because a lot of the times we feel so closely connected. Yes, comments. We feel so closely connected to our belief systems. We feel so connected to our belief systems that is what we feel defines us and makes us who we are. So if we're so attached to the things that we believe and feel, a lot of the times anything that comes in our lives and challenges those belief systems, it makes us uncomfortable. And then sometimes when you come into somebody else's life and challenge their belief systems, then they want to take that out on you. Sometimes it makes people angry. It makes people lash out on you, because what's happening is something is threatening your mental foundation. Now the problem with that is sometimes our belief systems are being challenged for a reason. And we need to soften ourselves a little bit so that we can be more susceptible to what may be something, I be talking in generalizations because I want everybody to get the message. I don't give a fuck what you believe in. So something is challenging that belief system because something wants the best for us. So this is for you if you're feeling like something needs to be reevaluated. It's time for you to clear out your internal hard drive and unpack your belief systems. Okay, every now and again, it is completely okay to take a mental inventory of what you're feeling, what you believe, and are your feelings and are your beliefs serving you the way that they need to be serving you? Because the composite of our thoughts, they should be serving us in some way, shape, form, or fashion throughout our daily lives, right? So if we're having feelings, behaviors, emotions, thought patterns, thought processes, and belief systems, things in that nature that are not producing for us more clear, conscious forms of thought, they're not producing for us good circumstances, then it's really time to unpack those beliefs. Okay? So what does that look like when we have to unpack those beliefs? What does it look like when we have to unpack those beliefs? Because it can be life-changing. And that's why it can be most of the times very uncomfortable for people when we come into a situation where somebody is challenging the things that we're thinking about, because we really build our lives from those thought patterns and those thought processes. But when we are able to step away from ourselves and step away from the idea that we know everything, when we step away from the idea that we are without improvement, when we step away from the idea that everything we have going on is the ultimate, right? So I'm a person that other people would consider me to have a decent amount of knowledge, right? But if you ask me, I'm gonna tell you I don't really know shit. Like, that's the place that I come from, right? There are things that I feel to be true. There are things that I believe to be true, but there are things that I believe to be true for me in this period in time, in position of my life, until possibly I'm presented with a circumstance that evolves my thought process, or I'm presented with maybe even a trauma that evolves my thought process, or witnessing somebody else's trauma that involves my thought process, or you read something and then you're like, oh damn, that makes me think twice about the things that I've read or learned before. It's okay to unlearn and relearn things, and it does not make your foundation of your belief system any less important, or any less quote unquote correct. But even that language is wrong, because our thought processes aren't a matter of correct, incorrect. It's a matter of efficiency. And sometimes for us to be the most efficient version of ourselves, the best and highest functioning version of ourselves, we have to take back some thoughts that we may have had, okay? And that brings me into the thought process of why cancel culture can be so dangerous. Because although I definitely do believe that certain behaviors are worth canceling, a lot of the issue with cancel culture is we hold people accountable for the things that they said maybe 10 years ago, but the things that they said maybe 10 years ago are no longer a reflection of that person today. Because, every single one of us here watching this, we already know that there is something that we've grown from. There was some immature shit that we used to think, right? And we grew from it, and we hoped and prayed that, and maybe even before the popularity of the internet, you said some shit and you just hoped and prayed that there was some grace there, that didn't nobody call you out on that shit, didn't nobody say anything to you about the ignorant thought processes. But we're all ignorant to a certain extent until we continue to grow from the things that maybe we were not so knowledgeable about. It is okay to say, I don't know everything. It's okay to say that there may be somebody that comes into my life that is capable of teaching me something that I didn't know, capable of showing me something that I was not aware of. And it is up to me to soften myself, to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to take in what you're giving me. I'm going to take in what you're saying to me. And I might not accept it for myself right now. I might not internalize it for myself right now. But I'm going to sit with the information that is being presented to me. And I'm going to figure out what this means for me and how best to integrate it or not integrate it into my life. We should all come from a place of being more open and susceptible to those things. And like I said, it doesn't mean that you take all the information that you ever read, hook, line, and sinker, and just begin implementing it into your life. It has to feel right to your spirit first, right? Because not all information is going to be applicable to us. It's also important to understand and know that A lot of times people get in arguments because they are battling each other's truths and battling each other's belief systems. And it's not a matter of that. There are some universal truths, quote unquote, right? But everybody is their own universe, which means the laws of your universe may not be the same laws as my universe, which means that your truths that your life was built on may not reflect or move me at all, because they are not my truth. But I cannot tell you that the things that you've experienced are untrue. Okay, so that's also something that we really do need to be mindful of, especially when we are working with one another, working to achieve some place of normalcy, some common ground sometimes, just to get along with one another, that we should really stop putting our thought processes on this pedestal, that there is nothing above this thought, there's nothing that can trump this thought ever, that I'm just the most righteous motherfucker in the world. So if you're coming to me and you're telling me that X, Y, and Z worked for you, and maybe X, Y, and Z didn't work for me, maybe elemental P worked for me, right? It doesn't make elemental P wrong, and it doesn't make X, Y, Z wrong. It just means that for whatever circumstances, your truth, the things that have shaped and molded you, the things that require you to work to your highest potential and your best self, just may not be the tools, the information, the language, or the literature that I need to be my highest possible self in the divinity that I was created in. We're all reflections of different pieces of divinity, and that's exactly why not everything is going to work for everybody. But sometimes you come across a reflection and you say, you know what, it's some simple shit. Sometimes you be like, you know what, I never thought to fold my fucking clothes that way. I see how you made more space. Okay, and it doesn't mean that I may take your whole belief system. And I say that to say, you know, I can use myself as an example, because there are things that I have said and I thought in my earlier years that, you know, to a certain extent I stand on, because I said that shit, right? But I don't necessarily feel so attached to those ideas anymore. There are things that I used to heavily pick apart. Let's say, I'll just use this example about Christianity. Still to this day, I'm not 100% at all a believer of a lot of different thought processes that come with a lot of other people's religious ideas and backgrounds. However, in a more evolved state of beingness, I am able to say that that may be the thing, that may be the way that spirit speaks to you, which is why a lot of the times now, unless I'm speaking to a very specific group of people that want to learn a very specific set of knowledge, most of my messages are typically generalized, because the information is necessary no matter what it is and no matter what place we are coming from. I can respect and I can understand that maybe spirit speaks to you in that way. Maybe spirit needed you to get that message, and spirit knows the language in which it needs to communicate with you. No different than human beings talk to each other. Sometimes you go to a different country and you know what the fuck is going on, because you're just in a different region outside of a place that you were probably raised into, and you don't understand that language. And it's the same way that spirit speaks to us, which is why we sometimes have to come down off of our high horses and realize that sometimes it's not what spirit is telling that other person that is wrong. It's just the way that that person has to receive messages is just a completely different way, and a different communication is the way that spirit speaks to me. Spirit doesn't necessarily speak to me in a way that requires me to have strict and rigid guidelines. But some people may need that. Okay? Now, what I can say is I have been able to take different pieces of what I have learned from other people and other people's thought processes and other people's religious backgrounds and other people's spiritual belief systems, and say that maybe the whole of it does not work for me, but there are some components and some elements that do, and I can find some usage in it. The problem is we throw the whole thing away. What is the saying that old people would say? Don't throw the baby away with the basket, or some shit like that. Okay, they used to say that shit, and I understand what that is. In my mind, the way that I apply it is, you know, there may be some good stuff in there, but our egos and a lot of times our human nature, we shut out everything if we don't like pieces of it. We just say fuck the whole thing. Just fuck the whole thing. Like, I didn't like that, and that. I might like 20 other things, but the that, I'm just had to throw the whole thing away. Everything is not that cut and dry. Everything in life is not that black and white, which is why I also stay away from areas of extremism as well, because if you ask me, I don't believe that extremism is natural. Okay, that's my belief system. Extremes may work for you. I can't tell you that it is not the truth. I can't tell you that it's not your truth. I can just tell you that it is not. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Yes, I said the basket, honey. Don't throw the baby out with the bath. I said the basket. But y'all know what I was trying to say. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, Maylene. Okay, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. The point is, we can all learn from each other. If we come from a soft place and understanding, y'all laughing at me. If we come from a soft place and understanding that we just genuinely do not come here equipped with all of the knowledge, okay? We come here pretty much, you know, mentally on an equal playing field. And we can hold each other, not to say accountable, because we can definitely hold each other accountable. But even sometimes accountability is a dangerous thing, because what is the standard? Who set the standard for accountability? And then what gives you the authority to hold that other person accountable? What happens when society imposes this idea like the next person falsely accepting once individuals are corrected with something unlike their own? It does. And that's what I was speaking about earlier. It causes an extreme disruption. A lot of the times I can tell by the way that people respond to me, even. Like the way that people see me. If people live a completely different life from me. You know, I used to live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, around a lot of Amish people. And clearly, it is a very gradient difference from myself and from people that live the way that they live. And I would watch the way that sometimes my presence alone so greatly disrupted spaces. And one thing was, I learned not to take that personally, because I was literally I literally was a walking example to these people of what they actively mold their lives to not be like and not look like. So my presence a lot of times disrupted spaces and caused confusion. It may cause maybe uncomfortable reactions. It may cause people to be flustered and things of that nature. And it's the same thing with ideas, because a lot of the times when we're presented with ideas that are very much so different than ours, different from the way that we were raised, different from the way that we live, different from the things that we've maybe seen in our environment, those things immediately in our mind, in our mind's way of trying to protect its own bubble, we think it's a problem. It's like a big red flag, warning signs go off, and sometimes we don't react favorably to those things. But pay attention to your triggers. Pay attention to your triggers. Pay attention to your triggers. Because your triggers are really learning lessons in disguise. Your triggers will teach you something. If you're able to move beyond the initial reaction of your triggers, if you're able to look a little bit deeper than the anger that sometimes it causes, if you're able to look deeper behind the defensiveness that it causes, a lot of the times there is some information behind the door of that trigger that is presented to us to help us grow and shift ourselves out of thought processes and perspectives that probably are not needing to either be there or requiring some tune-up, requiring some evolution, requiring us to grow, requiring us to see things from a different light, requiring us to see things from a different perspective. And like I said earlier, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to implement, internalize, or anything of that nature, but it is there for us to observe for a reason, so that maybe we can go back and look at the things that we think and we feel and say, you know what, how does this new information present to me? Why does this new information bother me so much? Because that's really the question that we need to be asking, instead of living in our reactions, which a lot of times we do live in our reactions. Somebody tells us something and then we're just like extremely defensive, we're upset, we want to cuss, we be like, don't touch it. It's like a wound, right? Our triggers are showing us where our wounds are. Because when somebody gets closer to that wound, when somebody gets closer to that bruise, you like, ugh, it's still open. It's still something sore there. It's showing you that there is some soreness there. And if we are still being exposed to things that show us our soreness, does that mean we're truly healed? In order for us to heal, a lot of the times we are brought to feel uncomfortable things. A lot of the times in order for us to heal, we are brought to feel uncomfortable things, because a lot of times you don't know that you need healing until you feel a symptom of sickness. It's the same thing with physical sickness as it is for spiritual, mental, and emotional sickness. You don't know that you need healing until you experience symptoms that something is out of alignment or that something is wrong. Pay attention to those symptoms. Pay attention to those triggers. Pay attention to why it is that you see somebody's picture and all of a sudden you get this little thing inside and you're staring at it and you feel uncomfortable. Pay attention to those things, because there are symptoms of something that is asking you for healing. It is, like I said, it's the same thing in our physical body. When we develop a cough, when we develop a pain or something of that nature, it's bringing attention to that area in our body so that we can further investigate, so that we can then apply the ointment, whatever the ointment may be. So, for women, it's like a lot of times, okay, if you're feeling soreness in your breast, that maybe you need to get that exam because it could be cancerous. And it is the same thing when we are dealing with our emotional and physical and mental bodies. If something is continuously causing you anguish and pain, it is pointing you in the direction that you need healing. Because we can too have cancerous thought processes, cancerous emotions that eventually do travel into the physical body. Which is why it's very important that we unpack our belief systems, because sometimes the things that we believe, think, and feel could genuinely be causing us sickness. It can genuinely be causing us so much internal stress, internal worry, internal anxiety that it manifests itself in a physical place in our bodies. Which is why a lot of times in different belief systems, and I know that it gets kind of messy, everybody gets angry, I see it all the time. There have been occasions where certain healers speak about energetic blockages and how it relates to medical issues, and there's a connection. And I don't necessarily have all day to educate people on why there is a connection, but there are some books that I could recommend, possibly in the comment section, if you do wish to look at the link between certain physical ailments and how they start in the auric and etheric bodies first, which are the realms outside of ourselves that we cannot see, that we do hold predisposition to disease and things of that nature. However, for a lot of times they do relate certain energetic blockages to different types of cancer. So sometimes there is a connection, energetically speaking, to people that have been or have experienced certain sexual traumas, to then linking over in the body that negative energy then transfers. A lot of times for women end up having breast cancer and certain cancers in the ovaries and things of that nature. A lot of times things do start first and they fester in our body. And I can say this, it's no different than, have you ever had a thought? Some people worry themselves so bad they get ulcers. Because whatever that thought is, it literally begins to create something inside of the body so strong. That thought, that worry, that anxiousness creates something in the body so strong that it literally creates ulcers. It's no different than anything else. When your mind is creating for you an internal environment in the body that is not in alignment with your natural self, then you start to begin to see those symptoms outside. And yes, you can make yourself sick. So it's very important that we look at our belief systems and look at the things that we hold on to. and look at the things that we feel, and look at the things that we've been carrying with us. Look at the memories that we've been carrying with us. Look at the traumas that we've been carrying with us. And also look at how those traumas and feelings have molded our belief systems and the things that we cling to, whether for a temporary shelter or for comfort. Because they could actively, your thoughts and your beliefs could actively be making your life, your physical circumstances, unhealthy circumstances. Yeah, stomach be all knotted up, Kizzy, okay? Stomach be all knotted up. Looking at some of these comments. Distance healing is a thing. I prefer in-person healing. I prefer in-person work. Because the things that I do is very... The things that I do, the way that I practice, is very determinate in space and being able to share space and touch with you. But there are people that do distance healing. It is definitely possible. You know, that is the idea of why some people pray. The idea that energy and thoughts and feelings, if magnified with enough intensity and intention, that it changes the way that energy flows and works. So again, this is just a reminder that your thoughts deserve to be cleared out. Okay, you need an upgrade. You need an upgrade. The same way our phones are forever upgrading every goddamn week, which honestly I just know is just a way to collect data from your phone and then send it back to somewhere else constantly, because we're always being watched. But in a perfect world, it would be because, you know, maybe some bugs were worked out. And that's the analogy that we're going to use in this situation. So when your computer is updating itself, when your mobile phones are updating themselves and things of that nature, it's because something is new, something can be upgraded, something can be brought up to standard. And we are the same exact way. You know, our thoughts need to be upgraded, our belief systems need to be upgraded. And take a mental inventory of your thoughts and your belief systems, because I can guarantee you that something you're holding on to and your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors and belief systems are directly contributing to the quality of life that you experience. Not necessarily the physical quality of life. Sometimes it is your body, your quality of life. You may be experiencing headaches, migraines, things of that nature, because you may be stressed, you may be anxious, you may be worried. Some people carry negative belief systems. And yes, thought can literally change the genetic structure of your DNA. We are so, like I said, we don't know anything. I like to say that I don't know anything, because when I come from the place of me saying that I don't know anything, then it allows me to take in more information. It allows me to be more open to downloads or greater downloads outside of myself, because I'm not very attached to my beliefs. I believe that they can change. I believe that you can be put in a situation that changes the way that you see and the way that you feel and the way that you experience other human beings. And the most intelligent thing that we can do is admit that we don't know everything, and also be open to hearing out other ways to do things more efficiently, because somebody else may have already gone through that upgrade. Somebody else may have already gone through that circumstances or that thing, and it can save us the trouble if we just listen, use our discernment, use our own intuition, and ask ourselves, is this something that we need? Every year I get older, the less I know. Right. Right. Exactly, Ruth Ann. Exactly. So, that's where I'm going to leave it. That's where I'm going to leave it. Yes, Kimberly, exactly. You got to do your best. So, today, certain days, any day, sometime soon, look at the quality of your life. How you feel in your body, how you feel in your relationships, because like I said earlier, there's always symptoms. Just like we experience symptoms of sickness to let us know that something isn't correct or that we may not be all the way well, we do experience symptoms mentally, emotionally, outside of us and around us that show us that maybe our thoughts may not be the healthiest. So if you have evidence that a lot of your current relationships right now are unhealthy or are toxic to you, it is a symptom that there is something in your thoughts, feelings, belief system, something that you're holding on to is also toxic, and it is creating the toxicity in your relationships. It is a symptom that something needs to be healed. If you are feeling uneasiness in your body on a day-to-day basis, and it's connected to particular thoughts, then it's showing you that there is something there that needs to be healed. That's why I say really have to pay attention to your triggers, because your triggers aren't for no reason at all. You don't fly off the handle for no reason at all. You don't get all sad all of a sudden for no reason at all, like deeply sad all of a sudden for no reason at all. Pay attention to those triggers, because like I said, behind that trigger is something that is asking you for healing. Behind that anger, it is something asking you for healing. Behind that sadness, it is something that is asking you for healing. When something is sore to the touch, you know that it needs healing. Okay? Yes, Ashley. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate anybody that comes to share space. And what I was saying at the very beginning of this video, I will definitely be connecting with y'all more here on Facebook, just genuinely because I've definitely over the years noticed the difference in demographic. Larger following on Instagram, but not the type of people that I necessarily want to engage with. The people that I've built with on Facebook are genuinely here to learn. I don't, in the immediate beginning, I came across a lot of negative comments in my Facebook videos. I don't hardly get those anymore, because there really is a falling off. And I say that all the time, that I'm going to align with the people that need the messages. I'm going to align with the people that need to hear the things, right? And I'm not going to worry about the people that are out of alignment. But I have come to find that a lot more people are in alignment here on this platform, and we can have more genuine conversations. And they are better received here. So I believe that this is definitely the place that my videos will be taking place more, will be back here on Facebook. Sometimes I may download them and upload them to YouTube. I had not been, because I had really taken a break and stepped back from all of this, which I will do cyclically all the time. I'm definitely not a person that is going to forever be present online in this capacity, because it's just not the greatest for me. It's not the greatest environment for me, but I do come in to share these things as they come to me, because I know that is what it is meant for me to do. It is meant for me to share these things, right? And I don't have a problem sharing these things with people that are receptive and want to actually engage in this way and have these conversations, and you find it to be beneficial, because that's all that matters to me. So, even if it was me talking to two of y'all, if two of y'all were really here to feel and grow and learn, I'd be completely okay with that. Okay, so it is not the more. It is not always the more, y'all. Sometimes the less will actually give you more, because some shit be filler. Okay, just like if you're from Maryland or from Baltimore, you know that sometimes a big crab cake is not always a good crab cake if that shit is full of filler. And so you might want a tiny one if it's all crab meat. My analogies be kind of weird, y'all. My analogies be kind of weird, y'all, but just in time, because I think I have a package at the door. My mother may be here, so I'm going to leave. I'm going to go. I'm going to leave you on this note. Share this message if you found that it was helpful for you. Share this message to your friends, your families, your news feeds, or whatever. We all do need to do a cleanup. Throw out the things in our minds that are not helping us. Throw out the things in our thought processes that are not helping us. The things in our hearts that are not helping us. Look at our symptoms and our triggers, and follow and connect the dots from that unhealthiness so that you can reach a state of healing. You don't know that you need healing until you're brought up with those symptoms. So look for those symptoms of sickness in your mental thoughts, your emotional body, things of that nature, because they do present themselves to you. Don't be defensive, okay? Don't throw up the wall. Just look deeper at what's causing you to feel that way. And it's okay to say that maybe I need to upgrade my thoughts. And it doesn't make you any less than. It actually makes you a much better, highly efficient, highly functioning person, a wonderful person, a wonderfully self-actualized person if you're able to say, hey, I recognize that I need healing, I need help, and I need to evolve my thought process.